events, and ASMR, of course. So, if you're ready to begin this video, we shall start. Featuring my Halloween nails. Hold on. Can y'all hear that? Also, featuring my plushie. Well, it's actually my sister's butt. For this video, I'm gonna go ahead and just steal her. Okay, let's get started. I was out once with my friends and came home pretty late. I didn't want my parents asking questions, so I snuck in through the garage. The door was locked, but I had a key. I turned the key to unlock it, but then I heard an abrupt snap and the door locked again. I repeated this 3 times. Each time I unlocked the door relocked. Exasperated, I cried out, "Mom, it's me!" Then I heard the door unlock. I opened the door, and no one was there. Oh shoot, that is creepy. On to the next story. When I was like 10 or 11, I was going to the beach with my aunt and her friends. There were 2 cars of us. To get there, we had to go through a very large industrial area. We didn't know the direction, so our car was following the other. Suddenly, they did an unexpected turn, and so our driver had to take a sharp bend. In that moment, we heard a very clear, loud voice inside the car laughing, "Sharp bend." The driver immediately hit the brakes. We looked at each other, puzzled. We all recognized it as a voice not belonging to any of us. In the very same time, we also noticed that the other car has stopped as well. The other driver got out of the car with a scared face and shouted to us, Did you hear that as well? They heard the very same thing inside their car. The area around was fully deserted. That is very creepy. Let me know what you guys think about that story down below in the comments. Here's the next story. Back when I was in 5th grade, I remember sitting in class about to take an exam. It was one of those where the teacher would write down the question and we would all write the answer on our sheet. After about the 3rd question, I started to realize that I had already seen these questions in the same order and knew the answers. I honestly remember it being like Groundhog's Day, where I had this deja vu moment, like I had already sat through the test the previous day. I raised my hand and said we had already done these questions, and I got the dumbfounded look from the teacher and classmates. I looked around like, seriously, I'm the only one realizing this. Oh really? Our teacher says. What's the next answer? I went up and wrote the next several answers that just came to my head. He looked down at his test, verified the board, then canceled the test. I spent the rest of that afternoon with the teacher and principal being accused of compromising the test. The principal had him go through all his notes and lessons to see if he had briefed the test by accident in the past. They asked the other kids. Nobody else remembered. They all scored shitty on the test. Wow, that is crazy. Here's the next story. It's called Nightmare. About a year ago, I had a terrible nightmare. It started off me waking up in bed during a just as a person was completely in the room, their head snapped towards me and it locked eyes with mine. I tried to get out of the bed but felt completely paralyzed. The person started making their way to me, but every step, their body contoured in ways that would break a normal person's bone. Their necks snapped so the back of their head touched their back. Their jaw laid flat on their chest. Their arms had broken at the shoulders and migrated to their back like wings. Just terrifying shit. And just before they reached me, I woke up. The next day I told my mom about it and went into great detail about the room. Turns out it was almost an exact copy of my room when I was a baby. We moved out of the house when I was super young. Okay, that is hella creepy. Next story is called Friends Call. I was a total idealist back in high school, so I chose to go to a college that none of my friends were attending, so that I could strike out on my own in finding myself. I ended up making a few close friends my first semester. These guys became like family to me in months. During winter break, one of my buddy, Kimbo, had gone back home to visit family. On his return trip to our college, hit a bad patch of ice, got into a car accident, and was killed. It hurt me like hell for a long time. I still think about him sometimes. A few weeks after Kimbo's accident, me and the rest of the guys were getting back from a party off campus, and as we were standing outside our dorm building smoking a cigarette, I felt my phone vibrating, and when I pulled it out, I saw that I was getting a call from Kimbo's phone. Dumbfounded, I showed my friends the phone quickly and then answered. When I picked up, it just went directly to his voicemail, which played, and we never really talked about it. But for me, it was one of those someone's looking after me moments. I hadn't been doing very well after his death, but seeing his name show up on my cell phone screen one final time made me feel a whole lot better for a time and really helped me out of the slump I was in. I have no idea how his phone could have possibly called me, and I doubt I ever will, but this was one glitch in the matrix that I'll forever be thankful for. Wow. Okay, here's the next story. It's called Uncle's Death. I knew my uncle had died. My mom had called me and told me the news. It was very sad. She told me in the middle of work, and I told one of my co-workers. He expressed his condolences on my loss. A couple of weeks later, my sister mentioned my aunt and uncle doing something. I said, but he's dead. And my sister said, no, he wasn't. I called my mom. No, he wasn't dead. To this day, I'm still not sure how much of it my brain imagined, how much was real. But did I really talk to my coworker? Was I even on the phone with my mom at all that day? It freaks me out knowing that my mind could fabricate so complete and a real memory like that. Wow. Okay, here's the next story. When I was around 7 years old, I was playing around a dock alone and unsupervised. I made a mistake and fell off the deck and into the water. I remember drowning, the water going way above my head, and finally freakishly standing on the bottom of the lake. There, I remember seeing a little girl about 50 feet away from me, also standing at the bottom of the lake. She was just looking at me for a few seconds, and then pointed up, and I suddenly got pulled up. I was standing back on the dock, fast, and of course a minute later, I pull out a shirt with the same name tag pinned to it. For a few years, it happened on a daily basis, but I haven't seen it in a long time. Someone would place something in their pocket or back pocket, etc., but when they want to grab it later, it would be missing. I would then reach into my pocket, backpack, whatever, and pull the item out. I intentionally got accused of being a thief, but when it happened repeatedly, I hadn't even been within 20 feet of the victim of my friends and classmates stopped doing so, and just kind of accepted that what happened around me. Okay, I just want to say something really quick. This has happened to me on multiple occasions where I put something away, right? And I remember where I put it, because I don't have bad memory. Then I'll look for it in the exact same spot. It won't be there. Then later I'll find it in a completely different spot. It's scary, honestly. Okay. Here's another story. Hold on, sorry. I'm trying to look for a story. Okay. I drove past a car stopped on the side of the road. It had its hazard lights on and hood was up. There was a dim light hanging on the hood, as if someone had been checking the engine. About a quarter mile down the road, my headlights illuminated a man standing on the side of the road. He was quite tall, over 6 feet, and very thin. He was ghostly pale and bald to me. The most unsettling thing was that he was just standing on the shoulder in the pitch black, staring into the desert. Away from the road, there was no light except for the few cars passing by. He was just staring into the blackness of the desert. It was not a supernatural or anything, I'm sure, but it sent shivers through my body. My fiancée was asleep almost the entire 2-hour drive, so she said she didn't see any of this, and she doesn't really believe it happened. Oh, honest, I want to share with you guys something similar that kind of happened to my family. So one day we went to a party before quarantine started, and me, my mom, and my stepdad went, and then my 2 uncles, grandma, and aunt went, right? So me, my dad, and my mom went in a different car, and my uncles and aunt went in a separate car, right? We came back from the party like around 10 in the night, and my uncle, I remember him calling my mom and freaking out and telling him that to him, my grandma and my aunt and my other uncle, when they were driving on the road, it was pitch black, that they saw like a figure of like an old lady, and it looked like something supernatural. It didn't look like human, it looked like a figure, like a shadow, but they saw it perfectly, and everyone just completely went into shock. And I remember they were telling my mom that, and I remember it was just like the creepiest thing ever that happened, I think this year before quarantine. So yeah, I just wanted to share with you guys that little creepy incident. Okay, I will be reading 2 more stories and then we'll call it a day. Okay, here's the next story. A few years ago, my uncle woke up at around 2 in the morning because of the ringing of a telephone beside his bed. He picked it up and it was his friend. His friend was asking how my uncle was, and such. After a brief conversation, his friend said that he was peaceful where he is. Things felt great and that he's happy. My uncle was glad to hear that and said goodbye. As he put the telephone down, my uncle woke up and realized that he was dreaming. The next day, he heard news about his friend being killed by an intruder in his house at around 1 a.m. Damn. Okay, here's the last story. Once we were fishing off the west coast of British Columbia, Canada. We stopped to check for halibut. The depth sounder said something like 100 feet deep. It was an old school depth sounder, so you can't see a picture. be doing a giveaway at 3K. Okay, guys, love you guys so much.